Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback, and quite frankly, he doesn't get enough grace, I should say, for saying, I win football games. Like, what would you rather? We go play Mahomes, and, oh, man, 41-40, Hurts, 375, 4 touchdowns, they lost. Boy, that guy's good. Or no, hey, you know what? I'm going to play within myself. I'm not going to turn the football over. I'm going to play within the game script here, and we're just going to win. Doesn't matter who gets the accolades.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The biggest games, the biggest bets that you need to know. So much fun already, Joe. I feel
Yeah,
like
I'm having a good time.
Of information
Love
now.
it. Yeah. Good games, not great, but again, it's college football. You can bet on them, nothing better.
Bet it, win. By the way, and I always like to say this, and it's true. Like, you can have the worst game in the world. You cash your ticket, it's like a Picasso. Like, that game was the best game I ever watched in my life.
Are you kidding?
Exactly.
Especially when you're hitting parlays.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Two favorites are still the two favorites. So for me, it's just whether or not you got Herbert at a better price or if you think there's a better price to get at this point. But I mean, with the way Josh Allen plays and generally Lamar Jackson, it still does appear to be a two-player race. The only thing, obviously, this is an injury league, Adam, and in the NFL, an injury that keeps you out 4 or 5 games, all of a sudden, those odds will shift.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
What's up, everybody, and welcome in. This is FST. It's Fantasy Sports Today. My name's Matt Striker. His name is Joe Pisapia. Yep, that Joe Pisapia, the author of the Fantasy Black Books, changed the way we have wagered and won upon sports. Joey P, I'm going to bring you in early because guess what? Knock, knock, knocking at the door. We've got some football coming. It's coming early. We're going to digest and attack some of the numbers involved there, and then we'll get into some news. But first, hello and good morning, and then dive into the game.
Top of the morning to you, because we are in Ireland for our NFL this morning, starting at around 9:30. And of course, we're the perfect second screen experience over here at SportsGrid. So make sure you're with us so you can be wagering during the game. We're going to touch on this game a little bit in the next segment here, but you've got obviously the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the first of many international games this season on Sundays that we're going to find ourselves. So the West Coast people don't love this. I get it. But us East Coasters kind of like the morning football. We don't get this all the time every week. So we'll have Aaron Rodgers and Carson Wentz. I guarantee you, a year ago, if I told you that was going to be the matchup in this game, you probably thought I was crazy. But there you have it. That's the beauty of the game. But of course, you got a lot of headlines to get to, Matt, because fantasy managers are panicking. You've got Jaylen Warren out for that game too. So Caleb Johnson's in. How much he's going to work, we'll see. Kenneth Gainwell in deeper leagues is probably a viable if you're, really desperate for some sort of running back help today. But again, this is a tough spot here because Caleb Johnson really hasn't gotten much work. We'll see how much he gets used today with Jaylen Warren out, but that's the big injury note here to kick this game off here this morning.
All right, it's a great way to kick off everything. Like Joe so accurately said, your second screen experience here, and stay with us all throughout the day, all throughout all the games. So, Joe, we'll talk a little about the wagering perspective of this morning's game. We'll talk about some of the lines. I want to get your take on it if you do have a pick, what you like, money line, spread, and then we'll get into what the Giants are doing because I think that's exciting a lot of fantasy players as well as wagerers. And just a quick reminder, folks, at SportsGrid and at SportsGrid TV, those are our social media handles. Make sure you get involved in the conversation. We're going to be talking to you throughout the show. But, Joe, let's start first with this morning's game. Considering the money line and the spread, I do believe last I saw it, it was Minnesota laying the 2 or 2.5. And I think the money line was, the points were sitting somewhere around 40.5. So let's start there and then get into what you think the Giants are doing here, because I think a lot of people are going to be excited.
Yeah, look, for me in this game, I think when you look at the international games, typically they underperform, the travel, everyone out of their normal schedule sync. Plus you've got some pretty good defense, especially on the Minnesota side. So really, if this one goes the over, it's going to be based on probably some turnovers going for touchdowns, and kind of like we saw last time we saw the Minnesota Vikings defense against Jake Browning. They will get after Aaron Rodgers. Now Van Ginkel is not available for this one too. That's another big loss here for that defense. But look, he really didn't play last week either, and that defense still performed very well. So Brian Flores is going to have a lot of pressure. He is going to put a ton of pressure, and I think that offensive line is a problem for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's going to be a problem for Aaron Rodgers. So my guess here, especially with Jaylen Warren out, is to go that under 40.5. I think that's what we're looking at. In terms of individuals too, it's difficult because, you really don't know what you're going to get out of Carson Wentz. I think maybe you look for TJ Hawkinson touchdowns. Wentz has been a guy that throughout his career has always favored the tight end. It's always been a good spot for him. So I think that's an interesting wager today, the anytime TD on Hawkinson. And as we look ahead to some of the other games too, we have to talk about the big change at quarterback for the New York Giants. I think that's kind of the big headline of the week, which is Jackson Dart taking over under center for the Giants, which it's about time. We tried the Russell Wilson thing. We gave it a couple games. Andrew Thomas wasn't healthy. Andrew Thomas came back. It's time to see at 0-3 if Jackson Dart is your guy. And this is a tough first outing. Now, the good news is next week he gets the Saints. I think everybody thought that would be the time when we start to turn the page. But it doesn't matter because Brian Daboll and Joe Sheen are basically on borrowed time here, right? So if Jackson Dart performs well and the Giants start to get more competitive in these games and you end up somehow winning 7 or 8 games, maybe ownership says, okay, we're moving this thing in the right direction, but you got to start that process now. And Russell Wilson 50-50 balls, it's a problem because 2/3 of the 50-50 balls either go incomplete or they go to the other team.
Scott Steiner,
we can't have that anymore. It is a lot. He got a 66.6% chance of me, and if you put Jackson Dart in, that's 1/3 of that, and that means that I'm going to be better. If you've never seen that, please go watch the Steiner math. It's magical. But that's not the only change too. We saw Cam Scadaboo emerge as the lead back in that offense. Too, Tyrone Tracy was relegated last week to getting some work as the kick returner. That's always a big red flag. We kind of touched on that last week, and then the injury on top of that. Now it's Scadaboo and Dart. So a different look here for the Giants. Tough matchup against the Chargers. I mean, Harbaugh and the Chargers are going to be ready. Justin Herbert's played terrific. He's in that MVP conversation already. He's like the top 3 guys already early in the season. So, Matt, I don't know what your take is here, but if you're a winless Giants team, it's time to see what you have in Jackson Dart if you think he can get you a little bit more movement in the offense, get you a little bit more excitement from the rest of the fan base, because I think the fans booing Russell Wilson last week out of the building was a problem.
Booing Winston out of the building, booing Scadaboo in, right? We talked about this in our preseason shows about how at some point, probably around week 4, that entire building would be saying boo for Cam Scadaboo. I think overall you hit on something that it's great for the coaching staff to say, yo, let's start this against a tough team. And let's see what Dart and Scadaboo and Neighbors and this team starts to look like. And also this defense as well. Let them show up. Just show up in this game. Although I'm a big advocate for always going for the win. Show up here because, like you said, next week it's a softer opponent, a less competitive opponent, at least on paper. Now you can feel a little better and grow into yourself. So I think that I'm looking at how they perform today as a unit, and that'll dictate how I wager on them next week. All right, a couple of big name receivers to miss weeks, and then a couple of known name running backs to miss the entire season, Joe.
Yeah, week 3 was really tough for injuries. So we have CeeDee Lamb was going to miss some time here with the high ankle sprain. Now, sometimes that's as much as 4 to 6 weeks. So if you're an 0-3 team, you need to trade CeeDee Lamb and get some help. That's my advice to you. Mike Evans will probably miss a couple weeks. The hamstring issues have always been the one problem with Mike Evans. And the older you get, as Matt knows, sometimes those injuries are a little tougher for you to come back from. And then the injuries on the other side, too, you have James Conner at the running back position. He's out for the year. Najee Harris out for the year. So Omari and Hampton, if you bought low, we talked about week 2, rookie running backs buying low. Well, Caleb Johnson starting today. You had Trey Benson start this past Thursday night. So obviously things are going in the right direction there. And then Omari and Hampton now all of a sudden gets the big work. So, I mean, Trey Benson, not really a true rookie, but a guy that was, sitting in the backfield last year, just kind of watching the grass grow for the most part. So these young running backs are getting their due. It's also, I think, a big issue where you're looking at the teams this year that went with hero or zero RB are reaping the benefits of the Bensons of the Omarion Hamptons, of the guys like Cam Scadaboo. So that strategy so far looks like the right one when you're approaching the running back position. Other injuries today, Jaden Daniels out, but he's not the only Commander out too. Terry McLaurin also out. So you want to downgrade this offense. This line is flipped from the Atlanta Falcons being underdogs at home to being favorites at home. Pay attention to that. It's going to be a tougher day, I think, without McLaurin and without Jaden Daniels for them on the road. Xavier Worthy returns today as well. How much he plays, we don't know. What does this mean for Tyquan Thornton? Nobody knows. So we'll just have to watch this one play out tonight. I can't imagine Worthy getting a full complement of snaps here. Then you've got Justin Fields, who is back. Good news for the Jets. Taylor was okay. The Jets, I think, are really spicy this week. I like them as the upset special on Monday Night Football. I think Aaron Glenn has got this team starting to figure it out. You saw the passion last week from Aaron Glenn on the sidelines. I know they ended up losing that game, but some losses are moral victories. And I think for the Jets, it's starting to learn how to compete, because I think you have to learn how to compete properly before you can learn to actually win. So it's the walking before the running. Good news also for the Bucs, though, without Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's back today, too. Do I want to throw him in the lineup? Not necessarily if I can avoid it, but I understand if you've got injuries already to guys like Lamb, guys like McLaurin, guys like Evans, you might not have a choice but to throw him out there. So a lot of moving parts today in terms of some of the injuries we've got. So we'll try to help you get some more guys off the waiver wire. They're probably floating around in the leagues. Caleb Johnson, obviously, right now, before this game starts today in about 20 minutes, you could pick him up off the waiver wire. He is rostered in about 20% of leagues right now, so he's available. When we come back, we're going to keep on pushing on FST.
Frank Reich is the head coach. You beat Stanford to end that season to clinch that 10th win, the hottest team in the country. You can't keep them out, Joe.
So now Stanford, because they beat Boston College last week, okay.
Notre Dame's in the top 25 today. They're going to have 10 straight victories. There's no way they stay out. Now, are you telling me that they're going to get tripped up by NC State?
NC State's
Devin
undefeated.
Leary still there? I don't even know.
NC State, Dave Torrance there.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Mike McDaniel got a personal victory.
Yeah, he get fired on the tarmac. Okay, I can go
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Well, this has been my take on the Dolphins. I think you'll agree. The more they lose, Tyreek Hill becomes the most important player in football, because Tyreek Hill getting traded becomes likelier and likelier.
Yeah.
And Don, he's not going to get traded to the Cleveland Browns.
Correct.
This is a guy who's going to shift Super Bowl markets if he is dealt.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt and Joe with you here with a crack team behind the glass, and I mean that in the best way possible. Sam Why, the sports guy, our producer, as we're coming in, says, it's us, it's only us, it's always only us. And I kind of thought I liked it, and then I kind of felt lonely for a second. It's just amazing how everyone gets at it so early each and every day here on SportsGrid, because, you know, it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. And that's why we've got Joey P Joe, my friend, it's time for the fantasy over-under. It's getting good reviews at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. Get in on the conversation. Joe, you were 2-2 last week, 7-5 so far throughout the season. I'm with you. I've been tailing you and doing just fine because we're playing the smart bets. Not about the record. It's about the wager, the amount of the wager. So here we go. The over-under, I'll give you a player and I'll give you the option and you'll tell me what happens. Over-under for Amon-Ra St. Brown, 68.5 receiving yards. Does he go over or under, and why?
I'm going to take the over here. Why? Because we're at home. That's right. We are at home, and this is the Coors Field of the NFL, okay? The Detroit Lions at home, and I told you a couple weeks ago, remember when the Lions came out kind of crappy, kind of boring there against the Green Bay Packers after week 1, and people were going, oh, no, what's going on with the Lions? And rightfully so. You lose coordinators, it's tough. They go back home, and the offense explodes, right? And then you carry that confidence in this past week to Baltimore, which was a terrific win. I thought the new defensive coordinator did a tremendous job of containing Lamar Jackson. That's the blueprint right there. Really got in his head, so much so that he didn't even run out in space sometimes because I think he had already realized that they were really all over him with the QB spy and the things they were doing there just to contain him in that pocket as much as possible. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, I understand the Cleveland defense is good, but it's also Cleveland on the road. And I think it's a little bit of a different deal here. And I just think at some point they're going to open up. Amon-Ra St. Brown does not get enough credit. Every single year, he's putting up enormous stats. He outworks everybody. This is the guy that catches 201 footballs every single day after practice. And it shows. It shows up in the games, in the big spots. And you're getting 68.5. Like, it's a pretty good size number. It's not absurd. It's not like we're looking at 85.5 for him in this game. And I think because of the perception of the Browns defense, you're getting a pretty fair number at 68.5. Anything under 70 for him, I think, is a smash. So I think it's all overs this week, too. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. You know, the unders sometimes are the ways we want to go, but I think this might be a big offensive week here, starting with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not that he's not in your lineups, but I think this is another big day for him.
All right, time for the markets to pop here. Okay, let's head out to beautiful East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the shadow of scenery Secaucus, amongst the lilies and lavenders of Metuchen, New Jersey. For this next one, Cam Scatterboo, 54.5 rushing yards, over or under, and why? Hello, New Jersey.
Yeah, look, New Jersey is a beautiful place. I live here, okay?
Nope.
You've got the beaches, you've got the mountains, you've got lovely areas, farmlands, you know, that Jersey corn is great. The Meadowlands complex in that area is trash. It's a dump. There's dead bodies, it's swamp, it's awful. You know it. That area.
Okay, I'm off camera here. Hang on a second. Say that dead body thing again.
Western New Jersey, absolutely fantastic, beautiful. But that area, I mean, it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest. But you know who is great? Cam Scatterboo. And I think there's a will that Cam Scatterboo has as Matthew's trying to disconnect from me. They know it. Look, those Jersey people, we know where a good Jersey is, and Jersey, you're like, it's not the nicest part of New Jersey. But it might start to get better. And I think with Jackson Dart, maybe there's a different feel. He is going to have to rely heavily on the run game today with Cam Scatterboo. And I think the thing you love about Scatterboo is like this number today is 54.5, right? 54.5, I think, is very achievable. 54.5, you're going to have to rely on Cam Scatterboo in this game to take pressure off of Jackson Dart, right? So he's going to be working a lot, I think, in this offense. He's also going to catch the football, too. So if you want to look for some of his all-purpose yards, you can find it. But what you love about Scatterboo is that he, after the catch, after the run, he is always breaking tackles, right? His broken tackle matrix are so good. You look at, you know, how he wants to fight for every yard, every moment. You love that. That's a real football player. And I think at home, again, that crowd, that excitement level with Dart today, you're going to have to rely on Cam Scatterboo to kind of just bring things down, control the offense, keep it simple for the kid here. And I think that means you're going to see a lot of Scatterboo running the football. So 54.5, I think, is very achievable here for him. And I think he's going to get a lot of carries today in this game.
All right, I like it. Let's keep it going here. So 54.5, the number for rookie Cam Scatterboo. 59.5 is the number for tenured J.K. Dobbins, although there is somewhat of a split here. Talk to me, 59.5 rushing yards for J.K. Dobbins, over or under, and why?
This is a smash over for me. This is my favorite one of the week. Is my favorite bet of the week. So of course this will be the one that doesn't hit, right? Of course, but to me, when you're looking at what J.K. Dobbins has done so far, and I know it's early, and all of us who really like R.J. Harvey are frustrated right now, but the defense of the Cincinnati Bengals is terrible, and I think that You've got to recognize that. You got to understand that right now. Plus, the offense, we have questions whether or not they're going to move the football efficiently with Browning. Now, Browning struggled against good defenses a couple years ago when he took over. He was a QB1 in 5 of the 8 games he played, but in the 3 games he played between the Steelers and between the Ravens, right? 2 against Pittsburgh, 1 against Baltimore, he did not perform well. And I think you saw that last week, right? In that game against the Minnesota Vikings. You're going to see it, I think, again this week in Denver. Now that's good news because if there's a lead, you all of a sudden also have this opportunity to sit on the football. And I think that's what the Denver Broncos are going to do. I think there's also big explosive run potential here as you're looking for J.K. Dobbins in this game here. I think if you put him to score a touchdown along with this over, I think it's a really nice little duo parlay bet. Love that. And look, the Bengals have given up 357 yards on the ground so far this year. That's a fair amount. It's not the worst in the league, but it's not great either. So I just don't have a lot of faith in the matchup here on the other side. I have a lot of faith in Dobbins. And so far he's been the guy. And once again, we're not getting, 68.5, 59.5, sometimes 61.5 in some other markets. It's a very reasonable number for J.K. Dobbins considering what's going on.
Yep. And just a reminder, you'll have to wait till Monday for that particular wager. Okay, Joe, with the time that we have remaining, if I told you that there was a Greg Roman offense running back who now pretty much has the backfield to himself, 58.5 of the rushing yards, would you say it's over or under for Omari and Hampton?
Oh, I would say over. Look, Haskins is there too. Maybe he'll get a couple carries here and there to take the pressure off the kid, but 58.5 against that Giants defense. Look, the Giants defense is pretty good at getting after the quarterback. Tackling has not been their strong suit this year, and I think Giants fans would agree. So I'm giving you 4 overs. Let's hope that we go 4-0 this week here and hope these guys smash in fantasy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this with more Fantasy Sports Today.
Frank Reich is the head coach. You beat Stanford to end that season to clinch that 10th win, the hottest team in the country. You can't keep them out, Joe.
So now Stanford, because they beat Boston College last week, okay.
Notre Dame's in the top 25 today. They're going to have 10 straight victories. There's no way they stay out. Now, are you telling me that they're going to get tripped up by NC State?
NC State's undefeated.
Still there? I don't even know.
NC State, Dave Torrance there.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Mike McDaniel got a personal victory.
Yeah, he get fired on the tarmac. Okay, I can go
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Well, this has been my take on the Dolphins. I think you'll agree. The more they lose, Tyreek Hill becomes the most important player in football because Tyreek Hill getting traded becomes likelier and likelier.
Yeah.
And Don, he's not going to get traded to the Cleveland Browns.
Correct.
This is a guy who's going to shift Super Bowl markets if he is dealt.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. My name is Matt Striker. His name's Joe Pisapia at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. Those are our social media handles. We want to hear from you. We know you've got stuff you want to say to Joe, and that's fine. But just remember that when you do see him out in the street, those things that you say to him will still be present in his mind, and then you'll have to handle all of which that is Joseph of Pisa.
That's right.
Okay, Joe, it's time for buy low, sell high, but I love it, man, because you're a guy that stands by your word. Just quickly, Mike Tyson once said, Floyd Mayweather once said disparaging comments about Muhammad Ali, and that's Mike Tyson's idol. Mike Tyson said, Floyd Mayweather can't walk down the street by himself. He's not a man of the people. Joey P, you can walk down the street by yourself, and it says a lot. So let's get to it. Buy low, sell high. Ashton Jonty, he's a buy low candidate for you. Let's start there.
Well, yeah, if I go 0-4 on the over-unders this week, I'll probably will be walking by myself on the street. I'm just thinking, so let's not do that. Let's go 4-0 this week. But look, I said after week 2, buy on all the rookie running backs. And if you listened, right, if you bought on Amari and Hampton, you're loving life. If you bought on Scadaboo, you're loving life. And look, this is probably the last chance here for Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty, I get it. Everyone's frustrated. It's been a slow start to the year. Chip Kelly, I would like to sit him down in a chair and ask him why. Why don't you understand that you could throw the ball to Ashton Genty? Why don't you understand that you should hand him the ball 20 times? Pete Carroll seems to understand this, but Chip Kelly, offensive coordinator, doesn't seem to understand how to use a generational talent at running back, and it's frustrating. I understand the offensive line for the Raiders isn't very good, but let's keep this in mind. Today, the Chicago Bears have given up 400-plus yards on the ground already over 3 games. That's a lot. So this is a game where Ashton Genty should pull out of that nosedive of a September, okay? This is when we should start seeing things move. And I get it. September has been kind of like a redshirt month the last couple of years since we've moved to the bigger schedule. I understand it's a long season. We don't want to ruin these rookie running backs who are used to 12 games in college, all of a sudden playing 17 and then playoffs and all the rest of it. I get it. I understand. But come on here. This is enough, Chip Kelly. We've got to get Ashton Genty touching the football more. He's got Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers. He's got 2 of the best young players in the game. He doesn't seem to find a way to get them the football. It's infuriating, but I think today against the Bears, you're going to see it. So again, buy low on Ashton Genty. I think that's a big one. Another one too, Travion Henderson. Right? This is the last of the rookie RBs here who hasn't popped. Today he gets the Carolina Panthers, right? That's good. Carolina struggles, obviously. We know last year gave up 3,000 yards on the ground to opposing teams. Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson was working, but did you all watch him fumble again multiple times in that game? And then they pivoted to everybody's dismay, including mine as a Patriots fan, to Antonio Gibson. What did he do? He fumbled. Mike Vrabel, I love you. I'm your biggest supporter. Enough is enough. Get Travion Henderson the frickin' football, please, okay? He is explosive. He's what you need. He's what's lacking in this offense. You can't have the turnovers with Ramondre Stevenson anymore. You need the explosive runs of Travion Henderson to move these games back into your favor in terms of momentum. The momentum killers of these fumbles are killing the Patriots, and I'm speaking with passion because I've got shares of Travion Henderson collecting dust, and I'm watching you, Mike Vrabel, winless at home so far to start his NFL coaching career as the New England Patriots head coach, okay? This is new stuff here. You don't lose at home in New England. We can't keep doing this. Let's get a W. Let's get Travion Henderson the football. Okay, I'm going to take a break now, and you can set up the next one. I need to come back.
Sure. Take a second here. All right. So, but that's what I love. I love the passion. I love it. I do, because you understand that it's not just your money. It's our money. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we're all going to prosper. Okay, so let's bring it back up. I'll light an incense. I'll light a few other things. It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing, but if you look at these teams in your league that have lost Austin Eckler, that have lost James Conner, that have lost Najee Harris, that are struggling at the running back position, and you are flush with RBs, right? And David Montgomery's expendable. He's got touchdown equity. He plays in a good offense, right? He's coming off a great game. Consider trading David Montgomery, and also consider trading Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is a solid wide receiver, and at the end of the year, we always look up, and he's kind of a low-end wide receiver too-ish. But the problem is week to week, it's very hit and miss. Last week, he had the touchdown. Things did well there for him and the Eagles. Obviously, it was a great comeback. But then he seems to go dormant for a couple weeks. And I think that inconsistency is tough. I'd rather have a guy like Jameson Williams, who has big explosive moments at home, than a guy like Devonta Smith, who I think has a profile in a lot of people's minds as a very safe guy. But the explosiveness isn't there, not the way the Eagles offense has been running lately. We'll be right back with more FST. Don't go anywhere. We've got guys for you to start and sit when we return.
Frank Reich is the head coach. You beat Stanford and that season to clinch that 10th win, the hottest team in the country. You can't keep them out, Joe.
So now Stanford, because they beat Boston College last week,
They're ranked.
Okay.
Notre Dame's in the top 25 today. They're going to have 10 straight victories. There's no way they stay out. Now, are you telling me that they're going to get tripped up by NC State?
NC State's
Devin Leary still there? I don't even know.
NC State, Dave Torrance there.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Mike McDaniel got a personal victory.
Yeah, he get fired on the tarmac.
Like,
okay, I can go back. Yeah.
Well, this has been my take on the Dolphins. I think you'll agree. The more they lose, Tyreek Hill becomes the most important player in football. Because Tyreek Hill getting traded becomes likelier and likelier.
Yeah.
And Don, he's not going to get traded to the Cleveland Browns.
Correct.
This is a guy who's going to shift Super Bowl markets if he is dealt.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Striker and Joe Pisapia with you here, giving you everything you need in order to dominate. And Joey P, as I understand it, football is flying through the air at some point somewhere in the world. And as soon as things happen, you'll be right on top of it. Any in-game wagers, anything like that. But of course, stick around, stay here on SportsGrid. We're going to be taking you all the way through, all the way up to Pro Football Today and beyond. Joe, it's time for Start Sit. Folks, at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV, come be a part of this conversation. We'll take our first question from Nashville, Tennessee, and it's about a Tennessee running back against a Chicago running back. Ooh, I like this. Tony Pollard, Tennessee is at Houston, or DeAndre Swift, Chicago is at Las Vegas. Start Sit. Joe?
Look, I think I'm going to go with Tony Pollard here in this one, and that might surprise a lot of people, but I think that, the schedule to open the year has been absolutely brutal for the Tennessee. This is not how you want to open up. And now you have a new play caller too, which I think is important. I want to see how this works out now that we have somebody else calling plays, because I think the head coach is realizing that's not really working out for the Tennessee Titans. So let's hand the reins over to somebody else to call these plays here, and I think that might be a good move. And I think you've seen the volume that Tony Pollard's gotten. DeAndre Swift, the tough thing with him is I think at some point Ben Johnson is going to start sharing this backfield with Kyle Monangai. It could even be this week a little bit where you see that share go away a little bit. I'm not saying he's taking it over. I'm not saying we should panic about Swift, but I think what we know about DeAndre Swift over the years is very clear. Right? Like, he doesn't have quite the big explosiveness of a Jahmyr Gibbs type guy. He doesn't have quite the between the tackles of somebody that you want, like a Derrick Henry. He's kind of in a weird no man's land. And I think eventually you're going to see some other guys start to get some opportunities here. And you can even see that this week. Now, theoretically, the Las Vegas is the better matchup, but I'm just going to play the volume game with Pollard here and see how it works out for me.
All right, we'll head out to a viewer in West Virginia. Johnny's got a question. He wants to know, is it Cedric Tillman? Just so you know, he's on Cleveland. He's at Detroit. Or is it Matthew Golden? Matthew Golden, Green Bay at Dallas. Before we came on the air, our producer, Sam Why the Sports Guy, was lamenting the seeming downfall of Matthew Golden. So, Joe, for you, Tillman or Golden, and why?
Oh, look, to me, this is another thing about opportunity. I think that they have no choice here. I mean, you're going to see Wicks. You're going to see some other guys. I really like Cedric Tillman, too. I just worry a little bit about Joe Flacco having to go into Detroit. It's a tough building, tough place to play. And I think there's going to be limitations there. I think Cedric Tillman is the quote-unquote safer play, so you could probably go that route. But if you're already down, you're playing against some guys on Thursday Night Football, or you're already looking at the lineup, and let's say, you're playing against DK Metcalf today, and he has 2 touchdowns when you wake up this morning, Matthew Golden's probably the bigger upside play. And eventually, I think he's got to get some more trust from Jordan Love in some spots. He got to earn it too, in all fairness. The matchup is so good against Dallas. I think there could be some explosiveness there for Matthew Golden. So I think Tillman is my safe play. If you like the way your lineup is, you don't want to rock the boat, and you just need a floor points. But the upside to me against Dallas is just too huge. That Dallas secondary is terrible, which is a great opportunity for this rookie to kind of get his feet under him here and try to build on what he didn't do in week 4 for the rest of the season. Because before you know it, at some point, Jaden Reed does get healthy in a couple weeks, potentially with that collarbone issue. Then things get muddy again. This is crucial for Matthew Golden to start to establish himself. You don't have to start him today. You could start Tillman. But if you're looking for the big upside, or you got to take a big swing here, I think Matthew Golden is the one that has more upside than Tillman today.
It's a great approach, Coach. It really is. And I think fantasy players all around the world appreciate that. All right, let's head out to Soda Springs. The effervescent charm of Kevin has a quarterback question. I like this one. Geno Smith, Las Vegas versus Chicago, or Matthew Stafford for the Rams against Indianapolis. Hey, look at those Colts. Joe, what says you?
Yeah, well, both guys are at home, but I'm going to go ahead with Matthew Stafford. There were some questions whether or not Devontae Adams is going to be healthy enough to play, but he is going to be playing today. So with Adams on the field, I think look, the Rams should have won that football game. They know they should have won that football game. Everything unraveled for them in a very quick fashion, and I think the Rams are pissed off. Had they won this past week against the Philadelphia Eagles, you can even look at this Colts game as a trap. And the Colts have played good football. Lou Anarumo is a really good defensive coordinator. He was that guy who was coaching those defenses for the Cincinnati Bengals when they were going to Super Bowls. But eventually they kept getting rid of all of his personnel, and they ended up firing him last year. Why? Because the personnel is bad. It's not his fault. You can only coach so much. If you don't have the talent on the field, what are you going to do with it? But to me, I'm looking at Matthew Stafford here against the Indianapolis Colts. Despite the fact that I like Lou and I respect him quite a bit, I just think with Puka Nacua, with Devontae Adams, with both running backs, there's just a lot of offense they can put up there at home. Geno, again, the offensive line's an issue. I don't love the Chicago Bears defense. They've got a lot of problems in the secondary themselves, but I just have more faith in Matthew Stafford than I do in Chip Kelly to get his head out of his rear end and get Ashton Jeanty the football more.
I love it. Okay, let's head out to Virginia where AJ joins the conversation. He's got a tight end question. Is it Mark Andrews, Baltimore at Kansas City, big game, or is it Dallas Goedert, Philadelphia at Tampa Bay, arguably just as big? Joe?
Yeah, I'm going to play the Mark Andrews touchdown game here. Mark Andrews, little bit of a rebound in week 3 here. Let's keep pushing forward. And Isaiah Likely's back in this game too, so that's certainly a motivating factor, I think, as well. Mark Andrews, this is probably his last dance here. And I think, look, Baltimore needs this win in the worst way. Obviously, so does Kansas City. I think both these teams kind of looking at each other like, really? This is the end of September? This is where we are? We're not used to seeing that. We're used to seeing teams well over 500 this time of year from those two franchises. And Goddard's role is tricky. And I think this Eagles offense so far has been a little tricky to start the year. I think you can argue that they haven't really clicked on all cylinders until the fourth quarter of that last game last week. And it was great that A.J. Brown showed up and Devonta Smith showed up in the fourth quarter. That's terrific. Now, can we carry it over against a tough Tampa defense? We shall see. And Tampa is a little hurting right now offensively, right? No Mike Evans. That's a big miss there for them. But to me, I'm going to still play Mark Andrews with Lamar Jackson and give him that opportunity. Jalen Hurts also isn't throwing the ball as much as Lamar is. So I think the Ravens kind of take out their aggressions today on Kansas City, and I want Mark Andrews to be a part of that, scoring a touchdown.
All right. With the time that we have left, we'll head out to beautiful Wyoming. Talking to Dante has a question. Is it Travis Hunter for Jacksonville, or is it Cardi's baby daddy, Stephon Diggs? What do you like?
What a power couple that is. You thought me and you were a power couple. That's nothing compared to Stephon and Cardi B. I mean, that's the one everybody's talking about these days. I'm going to lean here with Stephon Diggs. It's a really good matchup, and I think all of us were kind of pleasantly surprised that Diggs was able to be there week 1, but I don't think it's until about now where we're really looking for Stephon Diggs to kind of move the needle here a little bit. And I think it's time. Kayshon Boutte had that good first game. We got to move past that a little bit. Last 2 games have not been there. Hunter Henry's been really used in the offense last week. But the big thing is got to stop the turnovers, and it's not Drake May's fault. I think if you watch Drake May play, you like what you're seeing out of Drake May. And it's time for Stephon Diggs to start to ball out, because this is that kind of 1 year show me situation. And I think that Diggs need to start kind of, getting on track now. Okay, ACL injury, surgery, yes, that's fine. But now if you're going to be on the field, you got to start being productive. And Travis Hunter is just a tough one for me at this point too. It's not a knock on Hunter. I just think I'm going to roll the dice with Drake May here. Lawrence has not played great football so far this year. And we're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote unquote can't miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? Like, what's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together. But BTJ's been real quiet. Travis Hunter hasn't done all that much. I'm going to go with Diggs here. We're off to the races, by the way. Pick 6 here for the Steelers already. So there you have it. If you had the Steelers defense to score, you just cashed. Carson Wentz for a pick actually was going to be my best bet recommendation when we got to it. I didn't realize I had so little time to talk about it. We were going to talk about it at the end of this segment. Timing is everything, Matthew. Timing is everything in life. Just missed it.
It's perfect, but it's great because it sets off a nice day. I mean, I always look for the first thing that cashes because it sets the rhythm of the day. So if something's going to be upended, today may be a crazy day. When we come back, we're going to do waiver wire ads, more FST with Joe Pisapia, the author of the Fantasy Black Book, and the rest of this crazy crew.
Frank Reich is the head coach. You beat Stanford to end that season to clinch that 10th win, the hottest team in the country. You can't keep them out, Joe.
So now Stanford, because they beat Boston College last week, okay.
Notre Dame's in the top 25 today. They're going to have 10 straight victories. There's no way they stay out. Now, are you telling me that they're going to get tripped up by NC State?
NC State's
undefeated. Still there? I don't even know.
NC State, Dave Torrance there.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Mike McDaniel got a personal victory.
Yeah, he get fired on the tarmac. Okay, I can go
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Well, this has been my take on the Dolphins. I think you'll agree. The more they lose, Tyreek Hill becomes the most important player in football. Because Tyreek Hill getting traded becomes likelier and likelier.
Yeah.
And Don, he's not going to get traded to the Cleveland Browns.
Correct.
This is a guy who's going to shift Super Bowl markets if he is dealt.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Striker and Joe Pisapia with you here. We're watching the international game live with you, and when we went to break, we reported that there was a pick 6. But now, Joe, as in football, players under review, and what do we have? Go.
Well, first of all, I was looking out of the corner of my eye, and we just saw Jalen Ramsey running, so we thought that, it must be a pick 6 there, but it wasn't. We got lucky here on this one. It was actually a fumble, but it wasn't a fumble, so we're okay. So we're still alive, and of course, the interception prop still alive. Over 0.5 for Carson Wentz on the interceptions. Now, look, it's heavily juiced, and I can understand why, but I think that's a lock. I think you take that, you pair it with the under in this game. I think that's a nice way to kind of just enjoy your football this morning. I would also take a look at Jordan Mason anytime touchdown prop and Hawkinson too. Hawkinson are getting 3-1 there, and I think that's a really good number for him. So keep an eye on those guys. DK Metcalf's obviously another one too that's going to be in play because there's not a lot of weapons. That's kind of like the bad thing and the good thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Is that you have an opportunity where you kind of know where the ball is going. It's going to be a little tricky today without Jaylen Warren, so we're going to see how they compensate for it. But so far, classic Carson Wentz. Again, let's get that pick. Let's look for old classic Carson, and let's bet that here. Bet it with the under. We'll see how we come out. Yeah, let's pick up some guys on the waiver wire, Matt. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, here we go. It's waiver wire ads. Folks, we're listening to you at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. Get it in. Most of you are asking for players that are going to be available in at least 7 out of 10 leagues. We do our best to accommodate that. Running backs. The first 2 questions I got were about running backs. So, Joe, take it away. Give me a running back that's available in at least 7 out of 10 leagues. Go.
Yeah, still available at 31%. I'm not going to get off this ride. Just not. I was on this in preseason, and Ollie Gordon is a guy that I drafted everywhere, and I haven't dropped him yet because I still think the Dolphins need to split that backfield a little bit differently. And if you watched last Thursday night, you saw a moment in that game where Devon Achane tried to run between the tackles, and the defensive tackle of the Buffalo Bills picked him up and threw him backwards, okay? You cannot have that. So you need somebody else because you can't have Achane getting hurt. Plus, it's just not Achane's strong suit. Achane's always going to be the best fantasy back. He's probably the best fantasy investment on this team. But if Mike McDaniel is going to somehow survive this next couple of weeks, he has got to spread the touches around, and he's got to get Ollie Gordon the football more. Ollie Gordon coming away with a touchdown last week. Again, a different style back, a bigger physical back. You have to get him in that Mostert role, right? That one that was so good a couple years ago. And I think Ollie Gordon can do that, and I think it's very telling that you start to see that a little bit of a pivot there against the Buffalo Bills, and I think you're going to see more of it against the Jets on Monday night. So again, pick up Ollie Gordon. He is a low-end streamer this week at running back. I want to emphasize that. He is very touchdown dependent. However, I think the touchdown opportunities could be there for him. So if you're in a deeper league, desperate for running back, he could be a pivot option as well. But I would be looking to at least add him to the roster. Plus, if anything should happen to Devon Achane, who's not exactly, Derrick Henry in terms of size and Derrick Henry in terms of durability, all of a sudden Ollie Gordon becomes incredibly useful. And I think Jalen Wright, I'm just not buying him at all at this point.
Okay. Continuing the conversation, a SportsGrid viewer is asking, Ollie Gordon is taken in their league. Is there another suggestion for a running back? Give us someone maybe available in 8 out of 10 leagues.
Yeah, there's actually 2 guys I want to talk about. The first is Brashard Smith of the Kansas City Chiefs, who I think if you watched on, again, you got to watch, right? It's not all about the stats. A lot of it's the visuals, right? Isaiah Pacheco just doesn't look great to me. Brashard Smith looks kind of explosive. And I think at some point, Andy Reid's got to ask himself, maybe we got to get Brashard Smith the football a little bit. Kareem Hunt is 147 years old. I don't think he's the answer here. And they're having some issues. And if they lose again here to the Baltimore Ravens, which is really possible today, Kansas City Chiefs are going to be up against it. And they got to start evaluating some of this talent and making some wholesale changes. So these picks I'm going to give you right now, this is about getting ahead of Wednesday's waiver wire, adding these guys to your roster now if you have some dead space on there. Brashard Smith's the first one. The next one's Woody Marks, too, who I think as the Texans are staring, they're 0-3, they're staring 0-4 in the face potentially today. They should get a victory, but then again, they should have gotten a victory last week, too. He's just 14% rostered. Brashard Smith is basically free. He's under 10% rostered. I would add Woody Marks, too, because, again, now that you're kind of looking around, if you're out of playoff contention or you're really not getting it done, Nick Chubb at this stage in his career is just not the same guy. It makes me sad. I love Nick Chubb, huge fan of the guy. He had a terrific career. But Woody Marks, I think, might be the guy you're going to start to see in the passing game more and might have some value, especially in PPR leagues. He's a guy, too, that if you lost Austin Eckler, he might be able to fill that sort of void on your roster.
All right. You said the word free, and the SportsGrid switchboard lit up. People want a free square, guys. I don't know, but if anyone can find one, it's Joe. Free square, wide receiver. Joe, can you give the people what they need?
Yeah, look, it's Jalen Tolbert. And I don't know why. This is so easy. Everyone keeps talking about Jake Ferguson. Yeah, Jake Ferguson was the immediate pivot. But come on, man. I mean, today they're going to have to throw the football more, and they're going to have to work with these other wide receivers. I know people are chasing Turpin because he had a couple catches last week, but I think it's Jalen Tolbert who's going to also work alongside of Pickens. Pickens isn't a high volume guy. Like, just because CD Lamb is out doesn't turn George Pickens into CD Lamb. I just want to point that out to everybody. He's still a great red zone guy. He's still a big play guy, but he's not quite the same profile wide receiver. Jalen Tolbert can be a guy this week in a PPR league if you're desperate for some wide receiver help. Let's say you lost McLaurin, you were holding on to see if he was going to play, and now he's not. You don't love some of the other pieces out there. Tolbert, I think, is a viable streamer in deeper leagues or bad situations this week because I do think there will be enough volume in this game today. Green Bay Packers defense is very good, but Dak Prescott's playing good football. Dak Prescott's doing the best he can. He's got a terrible defense. The defense is going to continue to give up points. We saw them make the New York Giants look good. New York Giants put 30-plus on them, okay? Come on. Have we seen that Giants offense? So, look, Dak will continue to be good. Tolbert, I think, is a guy you can pick up for free this week and stream him. And, again, if he has a good game, let's say he gets 6 catches for 60 and a touchdown today, he's going to cost you a lot more on Wednesday. Yeah.
Yep. Smart. All right. With the time that we have left, people are asking for a quarterback and then, if you can, a defense. Take us to the break.
Well, we're going to go back to Matthew Stafford as a streaming QB. He's right outside on Fantasy Pros of the top 12 quarterbacks this week. 31% rostered. If, again, Jaden Daniels is out, right? Like you're all of a sudden in a pickle. You're looking at the waiver wire. I think he is a very viable option. And I do want to stream the defense this week of the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers defense, I think, is going to, show Jackson Dart some tough looks. There's very few coaches as good at preparing as Jim Harbaugh, and I think that team will be prepared for the rookie and give him all he can handle first part. We'll do 3 and out when we return at an update in Ireland.
Frank Reich is the head coach. You beat Stanford to end that season to clinch that 10th win, the hottest team in the country. You can't keep them out, Joe.
So now Stanford, because they beat Boston College last week, okay.
Notre Dame's in the top 25 today. They're going to have 10 straight victories. There's no way they stay out. Now, are you telling me that they're going to get tripped up by NC State?
NC State's
Devin
undefeated.
Leary still there? I don't even know.
NC State, Dave Torrance there.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Mike McDaniel got a personal victory.
Yeah, he get fired on the tarmac. Okay, I can
go
back. Yeah.
Well, this has been my take on the Dolphins. I think you'll agree. The more they lose, Tyreek Hill becomes the most important player in football because Tyreek Hill getting traded becomes likelier and likelier.
Yeah.
And Don, he's not going to get traded to the Cleveland Browns.
Correct.
This is a guy who's going to shift Super Bowl markets if he is dealt.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Striker and Joe Pisapia giving you everything you need in order to dominate. The early game is on, and for those of you that are looking for points, we've got them, Joe. 3-0 Minnesota, a field goal. So we're off to the races here, and that's actually a perfect segue because it's time for 3 and out. There you go. And, Nikola Tesla said that 3, 6, and 9 are the keys to the universe. I still don't understand what he means, but maybe we're onto something here. Take it away. Here, do something with
Well,
that.
yeah, the three, we told you about the under, right? We told you about turnovers. So I think I'm still going that route. Just putting that out there too. And it is something to ask because we go through these games all the time with these international games, and it tends to, like you said, wacky things happen, right? It's going to be fascinating to see too because next week we have the Vikings still international, so they're staying. So that's going to be interesting to watch too. How do the Vikings react to being there longer? And then the Cleveland Browns come out next week. So is that a huge advantage for the Vikings? Is it no advantage at all? I don't know, but we'll see. And so far, it looks like, again, same old here. We're just getting the football to DK Metcalf. And once again, pass complete here to DK Metcalf. So
Good.
it's very easy to see where the football is going. You got one thing to stop, Minnesota. I think if you stop DK Metcalf, you pretty much have this football game and make Aaron Rodgers go somewhere else. I don't know where, but somewhere else would probably be a good idea. Also, let's go somewhere else for the rest of our week 4, shall we? Let's take a look at Jackson Dart's debut. I'm going to be watching that closely to see how the kid does. He's got a lot of energy. He's got a lot of positive energy, which I think is good. The crowd wants to see it. Hopefully the crowd is patient because the Chargers, again, is a very tough first draw for the young kid. It's good that he's starting at home. That's great. Things will get easier next week against the New Orleans Saints. But this is the turning of the page that has to happen here. Otherwise, this regime is going to be out. I don't expect the Giants to win today. I don't even expect the Giants to cover today. But if you're the Giants, I think what you want to take out of today is, are we starting to look better on offense? Are we starting to see the future of what this team could be? Theoretically, the Giants had a really good draft this year, but now we've got to start winning some football games. I don't know if it's this week. Certainly next week would begin that Jackson Dart upswing potentially for the Giants. Next up here is Penix Watch, too. So Michael Penix had an awful game last week. At the end, you had Kirk Cousins in mop-up duty, and they keep telling us, it's not Kirk Cousins. We're not pivoting away. Everything lines up here for the Falcons to win this football game. No Jaden Daniels, right, for the Washington Commanders. No Terry McLaurin. You're playing at home. You're coming off a dreadful performance where you lost to an awful football team in the Carolina Panthers, right? You handed them that game with some really bad decisions. Do you bounce back? Because if you don't, I think the rumblings for Kirk Cousins will get louder in Atlanta because Atlanta's defense is for real. The offensive weapons are for real. I know Kirk Cousins struggled last year, but again, I think at some point, Arthur Blank and ownership, Arthur Blank wants to see the Falcons win a Super Bowl, and Arthur Blank isn't getting any younger. And there will be pressure if they lose again here at home to a Commanders team with Marcus Mariota under center for maybe a change of QB. Again, I think the Falcons are going to win. You see this line flipped. Vegas thinks that's going to happen too. But let's watch how Michael Penix plays in this game. I think that's very important. And then last but not least, the Ravens and Chiefs, Matt. This should be a big one here, right? This is the game of the week, 4:25 Eastern time. And you've got two teams here with records that aren't great. You got two teams with losing records. 1 and 2 teams here, teams that we think could win the Super Bowl. So who comes out victorious in this one for you?
It's a good question. And before we get to the answer, I understand there's a scoring update in the game. Joe, what do we have?
There is Kenneth Gainwell running to the left here for a touchdown. So it is now 6-3, waiting for the extra point here. Pittsburgh Steelers up on Minnesota. But don't avoid my question.
No, not at all. I'm not running for any office.
I know you love Mahomes as the underdog, and he's the underdog today, but it makes me very uncomfortable.
I'm leaning the Ravens here. I just think that they are a bit more complete in their direction of where they're going. And just overall, I think this week I expect to see, look, we know our 3-0s and our 0-3s, but these 2-1s and 1s and 2s are going to have to start to really show who they are as the wagering season rolls on. So those are things I'm looking forward to. Another great show. And folks, I hope you enjoyed it because there's more coming your way. Joe, take us home.
That's right. Stick around. Pro Football Today is going to take you through, and then in-game live later. We are set up to help you cash all your bets here over on SportsGrid. So make sure you stay with us for the entire day. Hopefully that under will come in, and hopefully we'll see Carson Wentz throw that pick at some point, and we'll see how things go. But look, it's kind of upsetting that we don't get to see more J.J. McCarthy. Unfortunately, that injury happened here. It would have been fun to see him in these international games. But there will be some pressure here if the Vikings, again, keep winning with Carson Wentz at some point. You have a lot of expectations of the Minnesota Vikings. 13 wins, 14 wins. We'll see. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. From Matt Striker, I'm Joey P. See you next time, kids. Enjoy your morning football.